On this episode, we speak about the entrepreneur's struggle and reward. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint at heart. It's more than just having a great idea. It's receiving that great idea and then consistently working to see it come to fruition. Listen in as we discuss a few of the main challenges visionaries face and the sweet rewards that come with never giving up. You already know it, right here on LifeClub.
I'm Tashima Jones. Welcome to LifeClub. I genuinely believe personal development unlocks the door to the abundant and wonderful life we all already have. I also believe we must be intentional about seeking out that life in order to find and fulfill it. I am so grateful your journey of discovery has led you all the way here. Let's keep moving forward together. Once again, welcome to LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. Welcome. This is a LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. I'm super excited, as always, to have you joining in with me. So, yesterday, I had the pleasure of sharing my TJM Life courses with some amazing women during my life class listening party. It was truly a phenomenal experience. It's something I couldn't have done without being stretched through this process of maturation, a period of growth when it comes to myself and life. Today, we are speaking about I need like a drum roll. Today, we are speaking about the entrepreneur's struggle and reward. Too often, we seek the thing without seeking the preparation to carry and fulfill the thing. What I have come to know is this truth. Pursuing your calling is equivalent to pursuing you. So, the entrepreneur's struggle / reward. Again, when we know the definition of a thing, we are better equipped to using it properly. And that is no different for this idea, this concept, this word called entrepreneur. So the root word of entrepreneur is undertake, and the definition of undertake is to commit oneself to and begin an enterprise or responsibility. It is to take on a thing. So let's just focus on that idea itself. Being an entrepreneur, you are committing yourself to a thing. And usually commitment means that you commit to the starting of a thing all the way through the process of building it, creating it. Excuse me, I had some tea before I got on there, but I guess my listening party, it didn't get a little too crazy, but it was really, really exciting. And I was up very late. So excuse me for clearing my throat, AKA DJ, I forget his name. Anyway, I digress. So once again, the root word of entrepreneur is to undertake. And oftentimes we can start a thing, but we won't see it through the entire process of really giving birth to it and then nurturing it once it's here. So part of the struggle of being an entrepreneur is starting at all. The idea is one thing, but the starting that I'm speaking about is taking that idea from your mind, from this concept that is stored in your spirit, in your soul, and actually manifesting it. And I always say that the starting points of manifestation is either it's speaking it and writing it. Because when you speak a thing, you are coming to contact with it with your natural self, hear, see, taste, touch, smell, all that good stuff. So once you have an idea, once you have a concept, speak it out loud. And you might not necessarily have all the right words, or it just might be one word, or it might be like a whole vision or a mission statement, but speak it out loud and then follow through by writing it down. That is another natural sense that we are including in this concept that's coming from the spirit world, that's coming from your mind and your soul and all that good stuff. And those are the first two steps to manifesting anything, is to speak it and to write it. And then once you do that, you go to work on it, and you don't this idea, this concept of hustle, aka grinding, that is not healthy and it's unsustainable. Grind means to whittle to the bone, and nobody wants to work themselves to being unhealthy and unproductive. I always tell creatives, especially musicians, it's like if you don't have your health, your vision and your dream is out of the door. So you have to understand that when you go to work on this concept, when you go to work on this thing, you have to be mindful of what work truly entails. Work is energy. Work is commitment. Work is being productive, and it's not just being busy for no reason. So be mindful of that. So I'm just going to sum that aspect up. When you have this idea, when you have this concept, speak it, write it down, and begin to work on it, and start little. Do not despise humble beginnings. Do not forsake the area of smallness, if you will. Don't take that space for granted, and don't disregard it. Sometimes we get this idea and we want it to go from concept in our minds to complete. The moment we get the idea, we want it to be ready. And you can find these truths about yourself in how you approach your idea. So if you have a concept, you have an idea, if you are afraid to speak about it, if you are afraid to write it down, you're already not working. Like, that's part of the work. That's part of the process, again, of manifesting this vision and this dream and making it a reality. So when you go to work on a thing, don't try to reach for, it's kind of like a tree. Like when you plant a seed, leaves sprout, you get a little bud, you get a little leaves, little vines. It's not this like 6-foot tree overnight. So you have to continue to water your vision by doing the things that it takes to make it come to pass, reading about it, getting some samples, starting to create little sketches of what it is that you believe that you are called to do, starting there, making smaller versions of this grand idea, and continuing to be consistent at watering that idea, sharing it with people who you believe, are safe to share it with, and continue to nurture it again until it becomes a thing that you see in your mind. And that's really this process of entrepreneurship. It's really this process of creativity, is seeing in the natural what you see in the spirit, aka your imagination, aka in your mind, in your soul, in your heart. Again, everything that is natural is birthed from the spirit world. The outer reality is created by the inner form. I'm hoping I said that properly, but if you are an avid listener of Life Club, you know what I am speaking about. Excuse me. So again, you have this vision, you have this idea, you have this concept. Speak it first, write it down, and start to little by little create it and build it and make it and nurture it. I don't even want to say make it come to pass, because I feel like that is a connotation of forcing it. And that's the very thing that you do not want to do. I always say that nobody wants to have a child prematurely, and neither do you want your vision to come to pass sooner than it's supposed to. So be diligent in your work, be diligent in creating it, be diligent in molding it and nurturing it, but do not force it, aka make it happen. You have to be very mindful of your intentions and what it is that you're putting into a product, service, concept, idea, whatever that is that you are building and whatever it is that you're working on. Take your time, be consistent, nurture it, feed it, share it with people who may be able to add to it. And adding to something can be telling you the truth about a thing, asking for feedback, again, from trusted sources. Let it be a spirit-led thing that you share your things. Because I know, and I don't really like spending too much time on #dreamkillers, but there are some of them out there, and we just have to forgive because people know not what they do. But at the same time, it is wise to seek counsel on something that you are growing, especially from those who have been where you would like to be, or who are in the process of building something very similar, or in general. I really, really appreciate the stories of so many people who are in certain positions of influence and have risen to the top of their industry. And I don't necessarily look at the glitz and the glamour that they're experiencing now. My joy, my pleasure is to find out where they were prior to getting there, because that's the thing that we all as creatives need to hear more about. It's the story behind the story. It's the story behind the lights, the camera, and all of the action that we see. Well, how did you get here? And what was your story like? And remember, your story will never be like somebody else's story, but what you can do is glean from their experiences and be inspired through their struggles, because if they can make it, you too can make it. And it's always good to not feel alone. You know, I think oftentimes people do feel by themselves when they are pursuing a goal, or pursuing a dream, because oftentimes the people who are around us, who are closest to us, are not rocking with us when we are planting, when we are watering, and when we are nurturing this vision that we believe we are supposed to fulfill. So I always tend to look at, you know, the stories of how people came up, the jobs that they may have had prior to really living and their dream life, and the struggles and the challenges that they faced. And it's just like, it's just inspiration, if nothing else. It's inspiring to know that, number one, these things kind of come with the territory of pursuing your goals. And secondly, you can get through them. So once again, we are speaking about the entrepreneur struggle and reward. Remember, entrepreneur, the word entrepreneur is rooted in this idea of undertake. And to undertake something is to commit yourself, to begin an enterprise or take responsibility of a thing. So we talked about starting. Starting is just this concept of, I have a vision, I have an idea. And usually those God visions, those God purpose concepts and businesses and all of the above, they never go away. So if you have been dealing with something that just won't go away and it bothers you in the morning and in the night and in the middle of the day, especially for those of us who are at certain 9-to-5s, and all you do is think about that thing, or you use your 9-to-5 to fund that thing, or whatever the case may be, that is usually the thing that you are supposed to pursue. And starting, aka manifesting it in the natural, is pulling it out from the spirit world through our speech and through written word. And then we just start to build little by little, making prototypes, whether that's a blog or writing, you know, a manuscript, whatever the case may be. And I always encourage people to, if let's say you want to go into media, create videos. You don't have to share it with anybody. Just create them. View yourself as you be your first audience member. You be your first customer, and just start to train and develop into the person or the business person that you believe that you were called to be. So that's the start. And then the second struggle that we encounter in entrepreneurship is being consistent. Ooh, let's just take a quick break on that. I truly believe that once you start a thing and you become consistent at that thing, it is truly the thing that you are supposed to do. I believe that everything that you aren't supposed to do will fail. And when I say fail, it doesn't necessarily mean you lose money or you lose customers. When I say fail, is that you will stop working on it at some point. Your consistency will not be there. You will not stay focused on that thing. The idea of passion is something that you risk your life for. That is like the definition, the root of that word. Passion is something that you literally risk your life for. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who have risked their lives for their dreams. And when I speak about that, it's making a lot of sacrifices, sleeping on a few couches, even missing a few meals. And that's not something that the average human being can do, let alone will choose to do. And I'm not saying that it's the healthiest thing to do, but you really know what you are made out to be when you are pursuing a dream, and it's almost as if nothing else matters. And again, it's not that you don't care about people or even care about your life, but it's the thing that you find yourself sacrificing for. It's the thing that you find yourself taking chances for. It's the thing that you find yourself investing in. And that doesn't always mean that you're happy about it. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're always happy about the sacrifices that you make. I have cried plenty of nights trying to understand why I even want this thing. Like, where did it even come from? And like I said, remaining consistent it's a challenge and it's a struggle. But again, this idea of passion is something that you truly make sacrifices for. And sometimes you find yourself making sacrifices, not even realizing that you're making sacrifices. So when you find yourself going without things, or you may see such and such with something and you trying to figure out, well, why don't I have that? And you have to remind yourself, I have chosen to make this sacrifice for this vision that I truly believe is mine to fulfill and accomplish. So remaining consistent is truly a struggle, but it's only a struggle because you believe so much in what it is that you are doing that you sacrifice for it. Another struggle of the entrepreneur is unbelievers. People who just don't support you, who look at you with the side eye, they're trying to figure out what you're doing while you trying to figure out what you're doing. People who just say, girl, you need to just do A, B, and C and let that thing go. Who may not show up to your shows, who may not fundraise with you. People who just and it's usually the closest people to us, because oftentimes those are the people who knew us when we were little, when they were changing our diapers, or when we were a hot mess out there in them streets, or when we were very introverted and now we just have this burst of confidence and security. You have to recognize that unbelievers are only a struggle when you give them more power than they truly have in your life. You have to allow Spirit's voice, number one, and secondly, your voice to be louder than the opinions of the other people around you. Again, make wise decisions and seek wise counsel, but understand that everybody is not going to believe or support you in your journey. And I truly believe that's a sweet spot, because it forces you and it strengthens you in believing in your own dream. Because a lot of times we want other people to believe in us because we have some doubts ourselves. So when we get somebody else to co-sign for us, it makes us feel a little bit better. But when it's just you and Spirit standing together, that is when you know that you yourself, the entrepreneur, the creative, that's when you know you truly believe in something. When nobody else believes you, when you don't have the support of other people, when people aren't coming up to your engagements or your events or, buying your products and services. Do not allow other people's unbelief to rob you of your belief, and count it as a blessing, so that only fortifies your faith in what it is that you are doing. And that leads me to my second point. Well, my next point in the struggle is questioning yourself and questioning Spirit. Well, did I hear this properly? Am I really supposed to be doing this? Well, why isn't this thing working? This is so far away from what I thought that I should be doing. I don't feel equipped. I don't have the degree. I don't have this. I don't have is this really the vision that I'm supposed to be pursuing? And the struggle, the period of struggle, helps you really define that. And it helps you to see, oftentimes this struggle is not for anybody else except for you to understand who you are and who you were called to be. I was just sitting the other day looking at one of my life boards, and it just came to me like, T, you've been through a lot of stuff. And then the second thought was, TJM has been through a lot of stuff too, and it's still standing. And that just did something to me, because it was tested by fire. It was tested by murky waters. It was tested by so many things. I'm trying to hold back tears right now because I'm just looking back at so many of the challenges that I myself had to face on this journey as an entrepreneur. And I recognize that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I look back at footage and I look back at things that I wrote and I look back at journal entries and I'm like, wow, TJM came through, aka Tashima Jones Media, came through that fire right along with Tashima and Jones. And that just gave me such a boost of excitement, joy, confidence. But if nothing else, it was a defining moment that made me realize that this thing is a good thing and it's a God thing and it will be prosperous and it is being prosperous and it is successful because success is a spiritual concept in my book, because you will not experience the manifestation of a thing if you don't already see yourself as successful. Because when you see yourself as a successful being, you're not going to settle for certain things. You're going to be consistent. It has to work because I am successful already. You know, one of the stories that I remember about Muhammad Ali was, I believe it was his coach who would slip a paper in one of his boxing gloves with a number on it. And the paper would have the round that the coach believed Muhammad Ali would win the match in. And the interesting thing about that is it wasn't a question of if he was going to win. It was a question of when he was going to win, aka the win was already done before the fight even started. And you have to have that same passion. You have to have that same concept when it comes to what it is that you're building. Remember, anything that burns away in that fire of this struggle wasn't yours to carry. So if you call yourself an entrepreneur and you faint at a little blow of the wind, perhaps you signed up for the wrong idea. Perhaps you signed up for the wrong concept. Again, entrepreneurship is something that you commit yourself to, and commitment doesn't come easy. It does not come easy. There will be tests. There will be trials. There will be unbelievers. There will be struggles with remaining consistent. And again, the first struggle is this ability to even start. So if you are just tuning in, we are speaking about the entrepreneur's struggle and reward. And I'm so excited to get to the rewards, but I just wanted to wrap up the struggle. So we spoke about the struggle of starting, remaining consistent, the unbelievers that may come across our path, and questioning or doubting ourselves and our ability to really hear Spirit's voice and telling us in the way that we should go. The last two, I think, are like the number one struggles that we may hear about, and that's resources, aka finances, and time. So many people say that, oh, I don't have time to do what it is that I really, really want to do. And at the end of the day, you have to make time. And when you get even deeper into this spiritual stuff, you'll realize that there's no such thing as time. Let's just take a Selah on that. One of the major areas that we have to understand is that when you base your life itself on time, you will never have enough of it. And that's personally or professionally. You will never have enough time, especially once you realize that it's just 24 hours and it's just like this cycle of 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours. So if you are waiting for time to suggest that it is now or waiting for time to give you the permission to start a thing, you will be waiting for a very long time. You have to understand. You have to get outside of this concept of time. I think one of the things that trap people up when it comes to time is that this made up milestone calendar that we have that suggests by the age of 18 we should have accomplished this, by the age of 21 and 25 we should be here, by 35 and 45 we should be there, and then by 65 we should retire to the beach and do what retired people do. I don't believe in the concept of retirement, but I am not going to digress. Once again, stop waiting for time to give you permission to do the very thing that is burning on the inside of you. Time should not carry that much weight when it comes to fulfilling the purpose in your life and also going after the thing that you seemingly believe in and believe that this is the thing that you're supposed to do. So we must eradicate this idea of time. And once you are free from this concept of time, you will find all of the time in the world to do what it is that you want to pursue and truly believe. I have to continue to say believe, because oftentimes the desires of our heart isn't always aligned with spirit's desires, and we have to get ourselves in a heart posture to actually receive the call on our lives and to receive the purpose that we were created for and actually pursue that thing. And when you do that, it will be truly exciting. I think that sometimes we are led to believe that the very thing that we're called to do is the very thing that we're not going to enjoy. And that is so far from the truth. When you believe that you are made for something, you are actually going to enjoy it. Yes, that felt so good to say. So getting back to this concept of time, for those of us who are still, trapped in the matrix, and we're slowly coming out, we're slowly transitioning. I always say, if your day starts at 5 a.m., get up at 4. Your body will adjust. Just keep doing it. Be consistent. If you get up at 4, get up at 3 and give yourself at least an hour to put into what it is that you would like to do. Again, if you don't want to, get up too early, which I believe that's the best time that I operate. But if you are more of a night person, or you feel like you want to get some things done prior to, and I think there's a danger in that, because once you do everything that you don't want to do, you are drained and unable to put that energy into what it is that you really want to do. So I always suggest that you get up a few minutes earlier, even if it's 15 minutes, to just journal about this thing that you envision and this thing that you actually want to start and manifest and share with the world. Even if it's just to imagine yourself walking in that thing, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just 1 minute, to sit there and just imagine yourself living in that life that you truly believe is yours. And I feel like I'm speaking about entrepreneurship, and this is a part of the reward. So I'm just going to hold that until I actually dig into the reward. So again, time. There is no such thing as time. However, if you still believe that, start to get up a little bit earlier or stay up a little bit later to just put some energy into the thing that you want to manifest. And for those of us who are outside of time, you already know what it is. You already know that there's more than enough time to do what you were called to do. And last but not least, on our list of #TheStruggle is resources, aka finances. Now, this is one of the biggest challenges that I hear a lot of people speaking about. And even I, at one point, I'm very resourceful. Just growing up in the hood, growing up in Harlem, I learned how to make things work. And it's so funny because the guests that I had over, I was just so excited to share all of the things that I have recycled. My pasta sauce jars, apple juice jars. I planted some seeds that I had from my salad. I was really excited to share those things. And I think what it speaks about is looking at what you have and thinking about ways, or seeing it as, okay, this is what I have. So what can I do with what I have to get to what I want so that I can increase and get more of these things? We have everything we need to pursue the call on our lives. This concept of provision is meaning in favor of, for a thing. Vision is the idea, the concept of what it is that you are supposed to do. So when we recognize that, we have to understand that everything that you really need is waiting for you to actually see it. It's waiting for you to actually take hold of it and use it for what it is worth. We have to understand that. We have to look at the things that we have and see what we can do with those things. So remember, one of the major areas that we tend to believe is a struggle is this area of resources. And when we recognize that the things that we have, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to adjust some things. When we recognize the things that we already have are enough, we will then be able to pursue the things that we want. So get into the habit of looking at what you already have and creating something out of that. And I truly believe that is the heart of a creative individual, is being resourceful, is making something out of nothing. Yes, let's just sit there for a minute. Making something out of nothing. I believe that I am blessed with that superpower, because I can look back at so many times when I started to pursue a thing and I don't even know where the things came from, but they came to me because I launched out into the deep and I was like, look, I'm going to use what I have to get what I want. And you too have to do the same thing. You have to look at the resources that you already have. Stop looking at what you don't have. Look at what you do have and make something of that. So that kind of wraps up the struggle. Again, struggle number one, this idea of starting, remaining consistent, dealing with the unbelievers, questioning yourself and spirit, resources, and time. Now, we are going to speak about the rewards. So I was speaking earlier about this idea of, it seemed like I was speaking about entrepreneurship and your life itself. And what I have realized is that your vision is going to become your lifestyle. It's not just what you do in exchange for money, but it is the way that you live. And that's truly what we are all looking for. We desire to do a thing. We desire to create a thing that gives us the liberty and the freedom to live the life that we want. So this business that you're creating, this organization that you're creating, is not only a thing that you're supposed to do and give to the world, it's also something that complements your life. And when you understand that, you start to realize that in order for me to build this thing, I too must be built. Oh, let's just take a deep breath on that. I always think about this video, the Will Smith video with Caleb Pinkett, Jada's brother. And one of the lines that Will Smith said is that we are not building a business. We are building a Caleb. And when you really dig into that, and when you see the significance in you growing as an individual in order to fulfill this destiny that you are so passionately going after, you start to relax a little more. You start to take your time a little more. You start to appreciate the small things, and you start to appreciate the space between you having the idea and actually manifesting the idea, because in between is that journey of personal development. Again, too often we are trying to seek the thing without seeking the preparation to handle the thing, because money can eat you alive. So can fame, wealth, and influence. And if you are not positioned in a space of not only humility, but wisdom, you will lose the very thing you fought so hard to get. Understand this. You must be tested and approved just as much as your vision. So don't try to run away from the struggle, because it's in the struggle, it's in the wilderness, it's in the journey of getting to a place where you learn humility and you gain confidence and you gain creativity. The most creative people are the people who didn't have anything. So they came up with some really cool ideas. And you have to, again, allow life to humble you to that posture to where you can understand that concept so that when you do get the million, you'll know how to manage it properly. And when you do get the influence, you won't take advantage of the people who are supposed to be your audience or your clients. When you do get to the space of #living your best life, you won't take it for granted. And not only that, your part of your mission will become helping other people get there. So again, your purpose and your vision and your business and your great idea is so much more about the prosperity of your soul than it is of your bank account or your followers or your house or your cars or your shoes or your travel locations. It is so much more about the prosperity of your soul than it is the material things that come out of it. And the material things that come out of it are very beautiful. But even more precious is your maturity level, and it's the wisdom that you gain along the way, and it's the appreciation that you have for life, for yourself, for spirit, and for other people. So part of the reward is passing that test and being, getting that stamp of approval from life and knowing that you can walk in the shoes that were made for you. The other part of another reward is simply living in the dream that you once imagined. That in itself, to actually see something grow from a seed being planted into like a tree where people can actually pick fruit from, that in itself creates this sense of joy and completeness and fulfillment. And it's also this idea of wonder, because once you see something happen, you start to recognize the ease in which you can accomplish and manifest things, and your imagination just gets so much bigger, and then dreams become so much wilder, and you really can't be stopped when you are able to see this process from seed all the way into a full tree. And it really becomes like work isn't work anymore. And again, that's what everybody really wants. You want to wake up and do something that doesn't feel like work. Yes, it takes energy. Yes, it takes commitment. Yes, it takes investment and resources and just like yourself. And it is a bit of a sacrifice. But when you enjoy what you do so much, it is no longer work. And usually the very thing that you enjoy so much is that spirit-ordained, spirit-led vision and ideas. So again, some of the rewards: being tested and approved, you and your vision, fulfilling your destiny, and just recognizing that work isn't really work when you make it through the #struggle. And last but not least, everything just becomes full circle. People say 2020, what is it? 2020 vision is hindsight 2020 vision. I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. It's basically saying that when you look back, everything makes sense. When you're in the struggle and you just trying to make it through, you don't necessarily see all of the rewards that come along with that struggle and the fruit that you are, watering and the fruit that awaits you. But then when you finally get to that space and you finally receive that reward, you can look back at so many times in the struggle and say, wow, this is why I had to go through that in order to get to this space. This is why this person had to dump me. This is why this job had to fire me. This is why I couldn't necessarily depend on the people that I thought I could depend on. This is why I needed that space of isolation and solitude. You will start to understand all of the tests and all of the trials and all of the lessons that you had to experience. Everything will make a little bit more sense. And understand and recognize that I did not mention fame, wealth, influence, or money as part of the rewards, because you have to understand that there's so many people with a lot of money who are not necessarily happy, or not necessarily using that influence for the greater good. Influence, money, wealth, those things are so easy to obtain. But what the things that aren't are humility and true confidence and wisdom and understanding and true joy and having peaceful relationships and just having a sound mind and love in your heart. Those things are not the easiest to come by, but you do receive those things when you commit yourself, when you undertake this idea, this concept, and when you start to launch out and you start to pursue this thing. It is a journey not only for your business, your company, your idea, or just the life that you see yourself living. It is also the development of the person of you. So those are the rewards. Once again, you are tested and you have that seal of approval, both you and your vision. You fulfill your destiny. Work is never work anymore. And everything just makes sense. This felt so good. That wraps our lesson, aka this show, this installment of Life Club on the entrepreneur struggle and reward. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Remember, you can find me and all of my contact information, as well as my TJM life courses, all that good stuff, replays of the show. Everything can be found at tashimajones.com. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon.
I am Tashima Jones, and you've been listening to Life Club. Thank you for tuning in.